Welcome to Keep On Growing, and today we're going to talk about the VivoSun hydroponic system that I've got set up. We're going to talk about how I set it up, does it work, and is it a good system for the money. Now, I paid $85 for it, but I think Black Friday right now for a week, they've got it for about $66. I'll leave a link to that in the description, or you can go look on Amazon and look under VivoSun. I think they have an entire store. I have the one that goes up on a wall, but they've also got a freestanding one that sits horizontal like a table, and that one's on sale too. And if you want to grow microgreens year round like I do, stick around because I'll have a buy one get one free order on these. I'll let you know about that too. But let's talk about the little system we've got set up. Now, it was smaller than I anticipated. I did check the measurements, went outside and checked the space, and this would do really well for leafy greens, and that's what I'm growing. It was a bunch of pak choi, so any of your kale, pak choys, lettuces, mint, basil, anything like that works really well. Now, the tubes are only 2 inches in diameter, and they've got a small 1-inch hole on the top, so you're not going to grow anything like peppers and tomatoes out of it. But as you can see, we grew a whole lot of pak choi. It's ready to go. Whenever we have some soup, we just go out there, grab a handful, toss it in that. We can have some in stir fries. You can toss it into your salads, what have you. Now, the system went together really easy. There's no tools involved. You're just putting all the pieces together, the PVC. And one of you out there, I think it was Dan, recommended that I get a little tiny rubber mallet to kind of beat them together so you don't have any leaks. And I put it all together, hung it up, and it worked just fine. Now, there were 2 small sections that started to drip a little, and I had it outside, so I wasn't really worried about it. But I was wondering if you guys had this inside, you really wouldn't want it leaking everywhere. So all I did was take some plumber's tape, the white Teflon tape, and I just wrapped it several times around the 2 sections that were dripping. That seemed to stop it, and it hasn't dripped yet. The system's not under pressure, it's just draining through there. So it doesn't take much to stop the leak. Now, when I set this up outside, someone said you're going to get algae. And we've had this up for several weeks. We've grown the pak choi in it, and you can see there's really no algae. I was apprehensive about using the clear tube outside. I have a black one, and I actually have the pump still inside too because there was a tiny little pump that came with it, and I was a little skeptical that it was going to pump 5 feet up in the air. When I plugged it in though, it didn't have any problem, and it's got a little timer. It just cycles on and off. There's different settings that you can have on it. So I wanted to try it with the equipment that it came with instead of using my own pumps and tubing. And as you can see, the tube looks clear. There's one little tiny spot at the top where it looks like algae is starting to grow a little bit. And there's some algae on the lid of the reservoir. I just used a big tote that you get from the home improvement center. Cut some holes in the top for the return and for the cord to come out. And I have another little hole over here so that any water that drips on top will just drip right back into it. The little fish net is to catch any leaves in that so they don't fall inside. Now, if we look inside the reservoir, you can see the water's still clear. Now, I had this filled up with 15 gallons of nutrient solution. I haven't added anything to it. We had a couple of days of rain in between, and this is basically still the same solution that I started with. So inside still looks clear. There's no algae in there. And that big pump is mine for my other system. You can see the tiny little pump all the way at the far end. That's the one that came with the VivoSun. Now you can also see the plant's roots. There's no algae in here, and if we take a look inside of one of the tubes, there's no algae built up in there. So it looks like it's going to be pretty easy to clean up. Now I might just hose this down and rinse it out a little bit, but if you need to, it's easy to pull apart, scrub it, put it back together. Now all of this pak choi I grew from seed. This was from some of our microgreens that we have. It's all part of our system, the continuous harvest system, where we have microgreens growing. We eat some of those, we harvest some, and then we take some and put them into the bigger containers, like this, or our downspouts, or any cracky container. Now, it came with these little sponges, and if you want to, you can germinate seeds right in there. I don't really care for doing that because they're too close, and I always end up having to try and untangle all the tiny little plants. I'd rather grow my microgreens and just pull them out like you've seen me do 100 times on this channel. So all I did was pull some of our microgreens out, put them in the little sponge, put them in the little plastic net cup that came with it, and put them in the system. So all in all, it worked pretty good. My only issue is this is winter time, we have shorter days, and my backyard is full of shade. During the summertime, the sun comes up directly overhead, and we get 5 or 6 hours of direct sunlight in this one spot. During the winter, it goes across the horizon, and it gets total shade all day long. Might be why we didn't get any algae. So we've got some more microgreens going. We're going to harvest some of these, switch them out. And when springtime comes, we're going to try it again and see if we can get a better crop growing when we can have a whole lot more sunlight. So like I said, this was $85. Probably grew about $20 worth of pak choi, but you don't grow just that one crop. You do it over and over and over again. So every new crop you get closer and closer to recouping your initial investment. Now I have a few basil plants in here, and if I would have planted all basil, it probably would pay for itself in 1 or 2 crops. So who is this for? This is for people who either don't have the time or energy or the skill to build a hydroponic system. It's also with people who don't want to mess with trying to go get a bunch of plumbing fixtures and cutting and getting plastic everywhere and drilling holes and fitting everything together. This one system came in a little tiny box, and it took less than 30 minutes to put together and get hung up. So if you're handy and you've got the space and the time, you can build your own system, and it'll be a whole lot bigger and a whole lot more sturdy. You can get a big pump and you can grow tons of food. But if you just want to start off with hydroponics and not really dive in the deep end, this is a cool little system. Now I've even got enough space on that wood structure that we've got set up to stick one more system right beside of it. Then I could actually put the reservoir right in between the two of them and have both systems running off of one reservoir. Maybe we'll do that next spring. So if you're interested in something like this, like I said, the company's called VivoSun. There's a couple of other companies that sell the same thing. Right now on Amazon, they've got a Black Friday sale going on. I'll leave the links down in the description. And I'll also have a link to my Etsy shop where I have these adapters. And if you want to grow microgreens, I'm going to have this one right here, the hybrid, where you can have the mason jar or the plastic bottle. Let me grab it real quick. You can turn a regular mason jar into a self-watering grower. Or if you have any of these plastic bottles, it also fits that. So it's a little hybrid. I'm going to have that one, buy one, get one free, as well as just the one with just a mason jar. If you don't need that, the one with just a mason jar is a little cheaper. Have both of those in there, buy one, get one free. I'm not going to have all of them. I did that the last time, and people were asking for it again, but it took me almost a month to get caught up with all the orders. So we're just going to do these two right now, buy one, get one free. You don't have to do anything special. If you go into my shop right now, you buy one of these, just order one and I'll throw the second one in for free. If you get two, I'll throw two in for free. So you don't have to do anything, just order however many you want and you're going to get a free one with each one of those. So we're going to do that through Black Friday weekend, and if I can get caught up with the orders and that, then maybe I'll do the refillable adapters the next week or something like that, maybe before Christmas. We'll see how it goes. Anyhow, because of Black Friday, I was able to get a whole lot of filament at a special price, so I can go ahead and do a deal like this. It just takes a whole lot of work to do it, so I don't mind doing that for y'all. And don't forget, you can give them as gifts if somebody's thinking about growing and don't know where to start. And you can always jump into our Facebook group if you got any questions. Alright, we're going to have a whole lot more videos coming, tutorials, and like I said, there's always help whenever you need it. So get out there, live to inspire, keep on growing, be the change. We'll catch you next time.